All right, we are here with Mark Chagaris. Mark, thanks for doing this.
Yeah, my pleasure.
And I've known Mark for a while. We're going to talk a little bit about that. But I wanted to give you a few minutes to introduce yourself, and we'll start that way. Where you're from and a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out my first memory of you, and
it's been a while.
Yeah, we share a good memory that I'm sure will come up. That's a video I sent you. Anyway, my name is Mark Chagaris. I'm 47 years old. I'm married to awesome lady who's way too good for me by the name of Jennifer. I have 3 kids that are awesome like their mom. Lana is 18. She's a freshman at the U.S. Merchant Marine Academy. Kylie, 16, a junior. And Jay, who's 14. They all go to Lake Forest High School. And been married going on 23 years. 24 years next year, excuse me. Well, it depends if you count the time we eloped or not. So that's another story.
Right.
I did that because she had no insurance at the time. And so I told my mom and dad, hey, we're gonna get married just so she could be get covered by military insurance. They thought that was a great idea. It's not like in our mind, we weren't married till our dad walked down the aisle. But anyway, I grew up in upstate New York. So you being from Binghamton, when I take pleasure when anyone says they're from upstate New York, I say, no, you're not. Because I'm from Messina, nothing north of Messina.
And I think your favorite line about that is not the end of the world, but you can see it from there.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that'd be Del Rio, Texas, for them. But so after I left home or graduated high school, I went to the military, went to the Air Force Academy, graduated in 1996. Is my junior year where I met Jen through a mutual friend. Basically, we were pen pals for 4 months before we met in person. We were married, left the next day for Del Rio, Texas. So I took out of our small town in Kansas, and we spent a year in Texas, 3 years in Germany, about 2.5 years in Charleston, where she lived there, and I had a house there, but I was visiting because that was right after 9/11. So I was gone, 250, 280 days a year. And then from there, I went 3 years in Oklahoma and left Oklahoma in 2006. We moved here to Dover, Delaware, and been I never imagined me living in Dover, Delaware. And I tell people it's full of pleasant surprises, with the cost of living is relatively cheap compared to the area. I love that we have 4 defined seasons. And, but yeah, it's a great town. And I just can't get over how windy it can get here. It gets really windy.
Yeah, it's very flat.
Right.
Yeah. And we have no idea what to do when an ambulance comes behind us.
Oh, yeah.
What is that about Dover? Yeah, nobody. That chapter was gone in the driving manual.
Oh yeah, and how to merge, like using a merge ring. Yeah, forget about it.
Yeah.
So I'm still in the military on the reserves now. I got off active duty in 2006, and in the reserves here at Charleston. I'm sorry, here at Dover, and I'm also a pilot for United Airlines. I'm a captain on the Airbus. So apparently they trust me to fly a bunch of people around and stuff like that. So
nice. So
I'm a captain of the Airbus, and I recently took command of the C-17 squadron here at Dover. So nice. Yeah. But here at Zoom, I thought I could do this. I can't.
What?
I'm leaving. Oh, I'll catch you later. Yeah. I can't.
You don't want to do it?
No. Sorry, we'll get back later.
Mark?
Hey, you want a bottle of water?
I was gonna try to try to do it the regular way where and I just, as soon as I heard you clumping down there, I just couldn't do it. So here's the question. Mark is here in my house. So the question is, how did we do that? That's pretty easy. Why did we do that? Yes. So you got to figure out why we did that, and leave it in the comment for the 7 people that are going to be watching this. So I can get into the fun stuff I want to ask you about. I've known Mark for over 10 years. Yeah, easily. I've known him for a while. I worked with his wife and his kids in several plays that we did. And you're a fascinating guy, and I want to embarrass you a little bit because you said you're in the military.
Yes.
You're a colonel.
Lieutenant Colonel.
Lieutenant Colonel.
Lieutenant Colonel.
Now, I know very little about the military, but I live in a military town. And I don't need these anymore, so I'll take those out. So I live in a military town, and I've learned over the last 10 years that the higher the rank, the bigger of a jerk you can be.
It can be that way.
But you're a nice guy.
Oh.
You're a very nice guy. How do you do? Especially, it's not like you're the CFO. You're in the military where people have to respect you. How does that not alter you?
Well, it's like anything where, like in the commercial world with a boss, you respect the person, you respect the position, or you respect both, you respect neither.
Right.
And it's like that. And I think, military, we're just another segment of society where, they're not a jerk because they're higher rank, they're a jerk already.
Right.
And that's the way it works. So I hope I'm pretty much the same person that I was back when I was, first commissioned, the same, wiser,
Yeah. So I want to dig into that. So is it because a person already has that jerk DNA in them?
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
And then you put it in because all right, I'll go back. You told me when you told your dad that you want to be a pilot,
Mm-hmm.
he said you first need to be an Eagle Scout.
Yeah. Basically said, you gotta stay in scouts, keep your grades up in school, stay in sports, and just stay involved, stay busy. And I definitely credit my dad because, I was a young buck, teenager, and, it was the hug when needed or the boot up the butt when I needed to get in line. And for Eagle Scout, like when you started in scouts, I was just turned 12 years old and all my friends did it.
Mm-hmm.
And then one by one, picking off,
Right.
on. And I was the last one standing.
So how old were you when you got your Eagle?
Well, you have to get it before you turn 18.
Okay.
So my service project was I renovated the basement, one of the basement rooms in my church. And you do this, it's called Eagle Scout Service Project. It's not more really the project you do, it's the leadership you display and coordination, all that. So, but I got everything done. And then the final step is an Eagle Scout board review, which is a board of 3 to 4 Eagle Scouts, adults. And I've sat on many of those myself, and it's almost like a job interview.
Mm-hmm.
Like this person, yeah, you checked all the boxes. It's like a job interview. You're qualified to be here, but we want to see what type of person you are. And so that's the final thing. And I had that board review a week before my 18th birthday. So I completed all the requirements, but I did not awarded the rank until Thanksgiving of my first year of school. So that the year before I went to Air Force Academy, but after high school, I actually went to Valley Forge Military College for a year because for whatever reason it was, I was not accepted. I was really close. I got a scholarship, but I think I was within the first 100 people to not get an appointment to the academy. So I was offered a Falcon Foundation scholarship, and I went to Valley Forge Military College for a year. And that's a watershed year in my life in terms of, it's my first year away from home, and where I grew up a lot. I realized, how much I could endure physically, and mentally and emotionally, because it was a tough year, not academically, but it was military school, all male.
Yeah.
So I went from when I graduated high school, I was probably about 5'10", $140. Yeah. And so I got a little bigger since then. And I was bullied quite a bit in high school.
Get out.
Yeah. I only threw back, got one fist fight. So I put up a few other times. I kind of had a lot of guys threw him down, but I had the starting quarterback in gym class. I was his mark.
Right.
Even on the sideline during dodgeball, he would throw the ball at me, and finally just bowed up to him and said, "What's your problem?" He backed off. But I went through a lot of junk, and I thought I could have fought back a lot more. I thought it was wrong to be in a fight, and I didn't want to get in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Looking back on it, probably should have stood up for myself. But then fast forward to that year at Valley Forge, where you stay in attention, and he'll come up, grab by, throw you against the wall for whatever reason, shaking your boots, and there was a couple of guys. It was rough. One guy tried to hang himself, and I was there.
Wow.
Yeah, it was rough. It was really rough.
Oh.
And so after that year, and I went through, Plead Brothers. There's like 120 of us that were freshmen there. out of that 120, 19 of us were Falcon Foundation scholarships. We went to the Air Force Academy together. So 19 of us, in our minds, 18 years old, we went to hell and back with. So they're my brothers. To this day, I keep touch with those guys. And, it's one of those sayings, they call me up, the guy that lives in California, hey, I need your help. Okay, I'll get there when I can. What can I do for you, kind of thing. And so I went there, and I probably kind of had a chip in my shoulder because the academy, I'm like, okay, what can you do to me? You're going to yell at me, right?
Right.
Okay. And they can't hit me. And so I got some extra attention while I was there, like during Air Force Army Week. So I was in Army ROTC for a year while I was at Valley Forge. We did Crosstown, at another school. And during Army Air Force Week at the Air Force Academy as a freshman, there's a fourth class military system. I wore a Go Army shirt.
Oh yeah, that's yeah.
And so,
Yeah, that's always good.
yeah, that went over like a fart in church.
Yeah.
So I got a lot of attention for that, among other things. And there's some arrogance there. It just 19-year-old.
See, I can't. I've known you long enough where I've never seen you arrogant.
Well, I think that's a different type of arrogance in a way. I guess cockiness is probably a better word. Cocky in that, but never disrespectful.
Okay.
I knew my role, but it's like, hey, it's one night, let's see what happens, kind of thing.
Right.
And but there's still a healthy fear of the upperclassmen, but I never would have done that 2 years prior. The high school Mark, who was bullied at times, would never have done that.
Okay.
And, but I was like, okay, I'm gonna get in trouble, but it wasn't out of disrespect. It's like, hey, let's see what happens, and
Right.
kind of bring some attention on myself or whatever.
Now we're jumping over some of these things, but you
Yeah.
know the and that's fine. But the Eagle Scout thing. I mean, I looked it up. Do you know what percentage?
1%.
Yes.
So
Yeah, and that was at 18. I
Mhm.
mean, you achieved that, and if you had, the jerk DNA that we're just talking about, that should have been enough to push you into a different person. Do you agree? Because you that enough would have been 1%. I mean, you're walking around. I've never done anything where I was 1%. I mean, that's how do you, as an 18-year-old kid, how do you put that on and not be a jerk?
I didn't think it like that. That was a necessary step on the path that I thought I needed to do to get in the cockpit of an Air Force airplane. And at the time, I wanted to be a fighter pilot, and then I got to pilot training, and that kind of changed. I had more fun doing a cross country, going somewhere else different than flying around the flagpole and flying upside down, which is fun. It was like, I want to do that for 20 years.
Right.
But I never thought like, well, look at me, because it was not a mountaintop. It was another wall to bust through. To get me
Okay.
where I'm at.
All right. Have all the steps been like that? I mean, the academy and being a pilot, and have they all just been not a mountaintop, but just another step?
Yeah, I would say that. Then, I never looked at it like that. Now, as I'm talking here, I'm like, is there a mountaintop? And no, I don't think so. Is there a time to stop climbing? That's up to the
Right.
person if you want to stop climbing.
Right.
One of the things I love doing the squadron is like I can see like someone's brand new in the squadron, early mid-20s, or fresh out pod training, they're second lieutenant, and they're ready to grab the world by the horns or so, and to watch them mature into a more mature Air Force officer, into a more seasoned, sometimes combat seasoned aviator pilot, and to be a part of that, and then to be we call it a certification board, where okay, now we're going to give you the keys of the car. It's kind of like a driver's test, but it's a little more grueling than that. And so I'm sitting at a cert board, and to watch this person grow from where they were to where they are now, knowing I had some part of that is really cool.
Can you see it? Can you see it? Can you see them change as a person?
Yeah, because we the adversity, the core person's still there. To watch their judgment, watch their decision making skills, and when they screw something up, like they kind of get a little trouble on the side, and to, give them some mentorship based off that. How are you going to correct this person?
Right.
I think they're back on the straight and narrow. I would say we talk about the commanders who are jerks, would just look at it black and white.
Right.
Not being a righteous judge, I guess. It was just like, you did X, and then I'm going to throw the book at you and you're done, which I think there's a time and place for that. You know,
Right.
there's some stuff that's so egregious. There's some stuff, you know, they go out and have too much fun on the road. And I'm not saying show up intoxicated to fly. That's
Right.
black and white.
Right.
But they're like, they sleep in,
Right.
oversleep. And then, you know, you put a fear into them, but there's time for rehabilitation because, you know, none of us are perfect.
Right.
And and it's good. And then give them that second chance, because I was given many second chances, and how that can really impact a person going forward. And
Is the military, I mean, as far as pilots, it can't be, if you're a pilot, you've been heading there a while, right? It's not like you just said, hey, I'll try this pilot thing for a couple of years, and if that doesn't work, I'll go over here and be a doctor or a dentist. So is it a different demographic of people because you've already dedicated so many years of your life and you're going to be a pilot? It's just, am I going to be a pilot here? Am I going to be a pilot there? I mean, you don't have people that go in and out of, you don't have people that go in and out of the Air Force.
Most of the time, you know, if someone goes in to fly, they're going to stay flying unless they either medically disqualified. I've had one guy just kind of had a little midlife crisis, just took a 6 or 7 year break and had to get his life back in order. He's back to flying. But yeah, it's, you know, with like those certification boards telling me about, I had one guy and I said, all right, how old are you? He said, you know, 31. It's okay. I said, when did you start wanting to fly airplanes? So I'm 16 years old. I said, okay. And I've known this guy for a while. And I said, how fast do you think you could throw all that away doing something stupid? He said, like that. I said, okay. I said, because my wife and kids could be on that plane one day, right? You take them somewhere in the world. So there's a lot of responsibility on your shoulders right now. And you can throw away like that. So always remember that.
Do most commercial pilots come from the Air Force?
No. I would say probably, it used to be a lot back in, you know, post World War II and all that, but now definitely with a smaller military, I would say probably, I would frame that question, the most airline pilots come from the military, because we got plenty of Navy, we got plenty of Air Force and Coast Guard, and some Army, but the vast majority are Navy and Air Force. And I would say probably, is it working?
I think so.
All right.
I just want to make sure whether it's,
I should put a happy face on that black screen.
Yeah.
I could tell you definitely less than 20%. And I say of that 20%, you know, many are served or some are still serving, like me, so I'm still in reserve. So probably definitely less than 10% are still serving military. Not necessarily, there's plenty of folks who are not military pilots that are veterans who serve in the military, you know. So yeah, it's always good having, you know, flying with a Navy pilot and an Air Force pilot. And you hear stories where the flight attendants said, all right, you know, you got to guess who landed the airplane. It's really hard. Like, oh, it's a Navy guy or something like that. So yeah.
I mean, you got a lot going on here. At one time, being an airline pilot was like the coolest thing in the world. I mean, it was, you know, catch me if you can. It was that. Is that still the same way?
It depends on, you know, it's the world's best job in the world's worst industry. You know, I've been furloughed. You know, not because in 2008 when the price of oil shot up and then we're merging with companies, and then, you know, 9/11, a lot of guys are furloughed. Almost every 10 to 12 years, a big event happens. You know, right now, COVID, we're going to lay off just at United almost 4,000 pilots, which would be about 400 away from getting laid off again. But we managed, we did a vote for a contract where we kind of took a collective hit on our pay to keep everybody on the street, so everybody in the job. So the young guys, they broke us up into thirds. So the bottom third, I'm middle third, and top third out of 13,000 pilots. So the middle third took a 50% pay cut, which is better than 100% pay cut. So, but I bet there's still a lure there. I mean, especially with the kids, it's great with the kids, get them up in the cockpit.
They still do that?
Not there in flight, no.
Right.
Absolutely be great if we could. Military, I do it all the time. If I have someone space A, I'll go downstairs. I'll look for a 12 or 13-year-old kid, a little younger, and I'll ask their parent, hey, can I ask them to come upstairs? I'm like, yeah. And I lean down and Hey, you want to come upstairs for the takeoff and just watch them? They look at mom and dad. And they're like, yeah. I'm like, well, come on up, because I'll take pictures. And I see myself as that kid.
Right.
Or now as a dad, I see Jay or Kylie
Right.
as that kid,
Right.
like getting excited. Maybe influencing them, like, yeah, back when I remember when I was 12 years old, this pilot came down. They're not gonna remember. He just remember
Right.
flight suit. Take them out, put them on headset. They can listen to radios. If it's a long flight, I let them make a radio call. I'll write down on paper, just to, reach 535 Tango level 350. And they're like, oh, greatest thing ever. To me, it's no big deal for me. I mean, it's fun.
Right.
But I know the impact on the kid. That's not why I'm doing it. Well, it's partly the reason I'm doing it. I know I'm impacting them, but it's just fun.
Yeah.
Make it memorable for them.
Now what's funny is the fact that I know your family pretty well, and I know your kids really well. And Dad has always been a pilot. Dad has always been an Air Force officer. So are they like, yeah, my dad is, yeah.
Yeah.
It's got to be boring to them. That
Yeah. Well, I was just the other day, I was asking Kylie, I said, isn't it cool that your dad's a pilot? They're like, yeah.
Right, because that's all they know.
But listen to this. What I did with Lana, that's my oldest, as you know, of course. They were reading in freshman English class. I haven't told you, you're gonna love this. They were reading the book Angel's Ashes. Oh yeah. And I found out in the syllabus, oh, you guys read Angel's Ashes. Okay. So it was in the early spring. They were about 2/3 of the way through the book. Lana already read the whole thing. And I pulled Lana out of class on the third day. We drove to the airport.
I remember this.
And we flew to Limerick, Ireland. And we got the Angel's Ashes walking tour, walked around Limerick, Ireland, where the book was written.
Yeah.
And we had a tour guide, and she's relating to the book. And then we went to Cliffs of Moher, and she saw some Irish folk dancing. So we left Thursday night, stayed the night at the airport. Friday, we flew out, did a walking tour Saturday morning, and went to Cliffs of Moher, and then flew back home on Sunday. She's back in school on Monday.
Okay, see,
that's the cool part.
That's a very cool part. But it's just 99% of the kids are never going to have a dad to be able to do that.
Yeah, it's I'll take advantage of it if I can.
Right.
And with Kylie, I was going to do that, but with the COVID you see going around, just it's kind of on a damper. She was going to more exchange last summer to Spain, and that got canceled.
Oh wow!
So because of COVID, but it is what it is. Yeah, you tell them.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. So it's talking about your kids, it's interesting. I mean, the petri dish that you have, because I know you, I know your wife, I know your kids. You have, at least some of you should have that jerk DNA. You really should. I mean, your wife is incredibly talented. She's been in a lot of plays. She's the nicest person I've ever met. Your kids are, I want to find out what the secret sauce is here, because you can't trick me, because I didn't just meet you. I know you. If you had a hair trigger temper, if you were, all right, here's a perfect example of you. I have seen you be vain, and I'm not even going to call it vain, once, and this was it. When apps first came out, you would buy every 99-cent goofy app. And I remember you'd be giddy, because you'd be going, look at this one, it makes fart noises.
It's great.
It's great. And I go, I haven't seen you in a while. Where have you been? He goes, I've been in Greece. But look at this. Look at this. It makes fart noises. So that's the only time I've seen you been materialistic.
I guess I am. I don't know. I'm just probably, I try to be grateful as much as I can.
No, I mean, you've seen it. Riley, go on. Go on,
Riley.
Riley.
Very friendly dog here.
I know.
He smells
Go on, Riley.
He smells like Shepherd, don't you? The secret sauce. I don't know. I mean, mom and dad.
Yeah, and I know your parents too, and they are maybe they're not.
I would definitely say my mom's grandfather. I love both my grandfathers, but I think it's natural to gravitate towards one. I think because I saw him more growing up. And on my dad's side, I was one of 12. Like I was just like my dad. My dad was middle of 5. I was the middle of all the grandchildren. And we got on great. Obviously love him, but I just more exposure with my other grandfather. He went to be playing golf. Taught me a lot. And very, very patient man, kind heart. War II vet, Silver Star, and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It's, Popeye says I am who I am.
Yeah, but it's you've got all the makings of a. I mean, here's my theory. Okay, my theory is there's two spectrums to being a jerk, and when I say jerk, I mean anything having to do with ego or with defiance or just with cruelty. You got two spectrums. You've got the spectrum where you live in, where there's a lot of accomplishments, and finally you go, you know what, I am pretty darn special. And then you've got the other side where you go, hey, I'm not special, but I could be if the world just wasn't holding me back. And in the middle is where the rest of us live, where it's somewhat, we can be a jerk, but we don't really, but it's usually here. Do you disagree with that?
No, I agree. And I think, as you know my faith, of course, and all that. And I think that has a big play in it where I had to check my pride. We're men, we have pride. I have to check it. When I feel that thought, I won't lie to you, when I upgraded to captain at a major airline, I was like, yeah, and then like, okay, it's not my identity. And I've met those people, you talk about the 10%, and, you get these wide body captains or captains where they work so hard to get there, but that was their complete focus. And then they just wrap their identity up.
Yeah.
And they'll say, hey, my name's Bob Smith. I'm a captain at United Airlines. And I like it when people are surprised to find out I'm in the military, or surprised to find out I'm an airline pilot. Do I succeed in that all the time? No, but my identity is in my faith and trying to be, the best husband and father I can. And that's a daily goal. That's the mountain I keep climbing to get back to that.
Yeah. And that makes a lot of sense. And what's funny is when you meet somebody who spits that right out. Hi, I'm Bill, and I'm a writer. You're automatically, your jerk radar just went up.
Yeah. Because
it's just like you said, that person is identifying, this is who I am. Mm-hmm. This is who I am. But that's not who you are.
Right.
And so that's probably part of it.
And when they, those people get there, they achieve that success, they've been working so hard to get there. There's a lot of tragedy with that. You look at, with rock bands, when they reach that, and it's just, they're miserable. Or someone hits the lottery, they're miserable.
Yep.
And I probably would be too,
Yeah, because I've been thinking a lot about the challenges because you're an example of how goals work. You said you don't want to get to the mountain. It's just another barrier to get up. You had to get Eagle Scout, and then you had to get in the academy, and then which makes absolute sense. The challenge, we've been spoon-fed that these goals are the magic elixir. If I can just get to 180 pounds, if I can just get my master's degree, then everything else is going to just fall away. Everything else is going to be perfect. If I can just get that house, and then just get this, instead of looking at it as the trail like you've looked at it, you got to get to there until you get to here, and then you get to here to get to there.
Yeah, and keep putting that quarters in that machine.
Yeah.
Just keep putting, pull that handle. It's a slot machine of life.
Yeah.
And you get that satisfaction every once in a while that keeps you wanting to throw more money in.
Yeah.
And I don't play the slots.
I have a family member that had the same thing. He basically said, my life's messed up. I just got to get my degree. If I just get my degree, everything. So everything else was falling apart. He got a degree. Well, I got to get a master's. So you got a master's. Everything else was falling apart. I know I don't own a house. And it just kept going. Oh, I need two houses. I need one to rent. And it just kept going. And it's just never, because you can't, but we're spoon fed that if you reach your goal, you'll be the person you want to be. But if you're not the person that got there, you're not going to be the person that got there.
Right.
So how do we work more on being the person, but still achieving the things that we need to achieve?
I take a step back, and maybe the goal you want to achieve does not line up with the type of person you should be for it. For example, and I can break it way down. You got type A, type B. I think a type B person could not be a pilot because it's very checklist oriented. Things have to happen in a certain series and order. Here's an example. Jen, artist, definitely not as type A as I am.
Right.
Very type B, and I love her for that because there's no way.
Right.
Like, case in point. So we have a minivan, And the only time I really drive the minivan is going to church once a week
Mhm.
when I'm home. And I get in there, I look on the console, I'm like, okay. So at first it's like, I can't do all this. But I'm like, only drive it once a week. But the compromise, I said, honey, if we go on a road trip, I can't have all this here. Because for me, I'm driving, that's granted, it's a console armrest, but in my pilot mind,
Right.
that's like a lot of stuff right there.
Right.
Likewise, she can go and see check engine light. And or like we had the low tire pressure, and I get in the van, I'm driving Sunday, I'm like,
Right.
first thing I see, light, red
Yeah.
light. I'm like, how long has that been there? She's like, I don't know, like, that means you got low tire pressure.
You can just get a little piece of black tape.
Yeah. Like a light comes on, I cannot, pilot bad, light flashing.
Right.
It's not green, bad. And I said, honey, if your light comes on, just tell me.
Right.
And then, on the other side, she's like, going to the airport, like we're traveling as a group. She goes, I don't, because we can fly free as, as an employee United. So I get to the airport, I'm in go mode. I start driving the airport in go mode. And she goes, Mark, I need you in dad mode, not pilot mode.
Wow. Okay.
Because I gotta make that switch. I get to the airport, that's work.
Right.
And,
Let's go. Come on. We've got to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. Yeah, there's a switch there.
That's interesting. I want to drill into this a little bit though, because I think there's something there. I mean, the idea is if you're an alcoholic with a bad temper and you lose 100 pounds, you're just a skinny alcoholic with a bad temper, right? It's not going to change you.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the real jerks of the world don't know they're jerks. I mean, do they? I mean, nobody wakes up in the morning and says, I am going to be rude. I'm going to make people feel bad about themselves. I'm going to talk all about me. I'm going to make me the focus, and I'm just going to dominate everything. And that's, you don't realize, you just think you're going through what you're supposed to be doing.
I'm sure I'm a jerk to somebody. I know.
There's a difference between having moments of being a jerk and being a jerk.
Yeah. Fair point.
Right.
Fair point.
Because I've realized something recently that is pretty humbling. And I've realized that there's certain people in my life that there are certain attributes that make me crazy. Like this guy, his ego is, oh man, I cannot believe. And these little attributes, and I've started to think about, why does it bother me? And I've realized it bothers me because those are the things I don't like about me. Like, does it bother me that this guy has a gambling problem? No, I don't care, because I don't have a gambling problem. Right. But this guy he's got an issue with ego, or he's got an issue with puffing himself up, and those are things that I struggle with. So it's real easy for me to go, you're a total jerk and you need to change, because then I don't have to do it to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely truth in that. I'm trying to think of, when I get upset at somebody, as it's, well, I don't want to say that. Yeah, true.
Yeah, it's, and I've just noticed it. And as soon as I noticed it, I'm going, oh my God. Because there are just certain people that you ought to, like, you follow them on social media. There they go again. Look at them just talking about themselves. Look at that. Well, that's because I struggle with that.
It's like watching Jerry Springer. You're like,
yes,
those guys are idiots. Like, I mean, I feel better about myself.
Yeah. But if somebody said I just blew my mortgage, payment on gambling, I would go, you're stupid. Mm-hmm. But it wouldn't bother me because I don't struggle with that.
Yeah.
So I think we need those people in our lives so we can go, well, and it's always, well, I may do it, but I don't do it like they do.
Yeah. I'm sure someone points at me like that. And I'm sorry to do. Sorry.
The reason I wanted to throw you in this petri dish is because I've known you long enough that I haven't seen those traits, but you're on the other side of the spectrum where you could be.
Oh.
You could be. You could wake up in the morning and say, I'm an Eagle Scout, 1%. I'm a graduate of the academy. I'm an Air Force Lieutenant Colonel. I work for, I'm a pilot for those things could puff a human being up.
Yeah, you could. It's a pride issue for sure. And I'm guilty like anybody else. What do you say, behind every successful man is a woman rolling her eyes?
I thought it was a mother-in-law rolling
Or
the
that,
eyes.
yeah. And no, I mean, I'm here despite myself. Those accomplishments I have, which I'm proud of, but it's just in spite of me. I did none of that stuff by myself.
Yeah,
Absolutely none of it. Obviously I had a big part in it. There's, looking back, is anything I can't. From my master's degrees to get my wings to pod training to everything in my life, even the stuff my kids have helped me with, in spite of in spite of me.
mm-hmm.
That's for sure.
But I think because you said it, but that doesn't define you. Oh, the dog's going crazy over there, sneezing. COVID dog. It doesn't. That's not who you are. So I'm going to ask you a loaded question here. So if you woke up tomorrow and they said, "Oh, by the way, we're kicking you out of the Air Force and you can't be a pilot anymore. You got to go be a plumber. You got to go be something else." Since that doesn't define you, would you be okay with that?
Yeah, you would. Again, I would just, for me, for some people, this is going to sound fatalistic, but I just lean on my faith and
Right.
say, okay, God's got something else in mind for me.
Right.
It would suck. For example, I had in the Air Force, I get a flight physical, and every 5 years, I have to get an EKG for the Air Force. For my FAA flight physical, I have to get EKG once a year.
All right, go on.
So my EKG has been normal, and then I have my Air Force one, and then I go to work, I just log in, and this is in March when I think I'm going to lose my job with United, with COVID, everything coming down. Our rental house trying to sell, the cash buyer backed out because of COVID. I'm like, okay.
Right.
Okay. It's kind of like the feeling I had when my sewer line was busted in the house. Another story. I know you like the way that was written, by the way. I was thinking of you when I wrote that. Anyway, I was like, oh, and then I get this email from the medical clinic on base saying the flight surgeon flagged your EKG and you basically have to go get a Holter monitor. And I'm like, oh, you got a cat.
These animals have nothing to do with anything, but soon you're here.
Yeah.
They're all over the place.
And I was like, oh, okay, Lord, you got this, because I don't. And so long story short, I went to Bay Health Cardiovascular, saw a doctor, cool guy, very, very confident, knew he was a cardiologist doctor. I liked him. I think we would have got along fine. I could tell he's very confident in his work. Dr. Abrasius, nice guy.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, you're fine. He goes, listen to your heart. You have this tiny little thing going on. I guess 99% of people have it. It's the upper atrium.
Okay.
And he goes, some guy reading your EKG from over the internet versus a board certified cardiologist like me, you're fine. You don't need to do all this. I'm like, so I'm okay. He's like, you're fine. I'm like, okay. He goes, I said, but I still have this letter in the Air Force, still got to wear a Holter monitor. He goes, what? Blank. I'm like, okay. And so I had to wear this Holter monitor. Anyway, so that was a scare. I was thinking, am I going to be done flying? I'm going to not lose a job, right, or lose my job, because that's going to affect my Air Force career as well. I basically have to retire. I got 24 years in the military, so I have to retire. So that was a scare. So would I accept it? Yes. Would it take a lot of faith? Absolutely. Would it affect my pride or my ego? Probably. But, I would say, yeah, I used to fly. I got sick.
But here's the loaded part of this, though. So let's say you didn't lose any of that, but you lost your family. Let's say you could still be a pilot and you could still do all this stuff, but your family,
that's it's not a sacrifice for one, but I'd still do it if I lost a family. Wow. I mean, again, my identity is not in that, so it'd still be a job to do.
Mm-hmm.
But the pressures to have to support a family. Wow, it's tough. Something you don't want to think about.
But I could see you. I could, as well as I know you, I could see you saying, okay, I'm giving up, being a pilot. I'm giving up the Air Force, and I still have my family
Yeah.
and being content with that.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
so
I would probably pull a Neil Peart. What happened to him? He's a drummer from Rush. He passed away
Okay.
last year. I think in the course of a year, he lost his wife and one of his kids, and he just went off the grid. Rented a BMW Enduro motorcycle. I watched the interview, and he went as far south as he could in South America, and then as far north as he could in North America, and just disappeared and tried to find himself. And I know myself. I don't think I need to be on a journey. It would be definitely horrible. But I keep flying. I don't know. I know what my heart would do.
Yeah.
And it's a tough one. I hope I never have to face it, of course.
yeah, and I don't think you will. And I think you'd be okay with losing your career because your family is such a big part of your life and knowing them as well as I did. I don't know why this reminds me of when you're talking about the heart monitor, just a stupid story. I don't know if I ever told you this. When Alex was born, so Alex is like 3 seconds old, right? And they do that APGAR test, the thing where they put the stethoscope on and then check, everything to make sure. And I'm standing right there by the doctor, and he puts the stethoscope on and he goes, "That's weird, no heartbeat." And I'm going, "What?" And he's going, "Hey, come here, listen to this." And he goes, "Wow, that's weird, no heartbeat." And I'm going, the part of the movie where you stand still and the background goes like
Yeah.
this? I'm going, "Oh," and they're going, "Susie, come here, check this out." He goes, "Wow, no heartbeat at all."
He's crying though, right?
And I'm freaking out. I don't know because I'm focused on them. So we're going, about 10, 15 seconds. I realized they were saying the stethoscope is broken. But I'm the guy in the corner, that's
Yeah.
passing out because it's just like, "Oh yeah, no heartbeat. So you want coffee? You want to come? You just see the game last night?"
Well,
That's
yeah.
so weird.
I do that. I like when I'm at United. You know what I mean? It's not gallows humor, but I like to. I guess it may defensive mechanism or what. I like to diffuse a situation, bring levity into it. It's humor. And we're getting de-iced, in Columbus, Ohio. So getting all the snow off the wings, and I, we had to, one of the requirements, we had to walk back in the cabin, look where the wing, make sure the wing is clean. So I go back there when the pilot's coming back. I go, "Ooh, pilot's coming back." I'm like, "Pilot's coming back." Come ahead. No, I don't do that. I walk back there. I look out the window.
Sit up straight.
I go, "Huh?" I said, "That's not good at all." Oh my gosh, we're good. I'm joking. Joking. Or like doing a walk around.
What's that thing?
Yeah. Or if I'm outside doing the walk around, I know people are watching. I'll stand in front of the engine. Like that.
And
look
get the
out.
book.
Yeah. I should do that.
You should get like Pilots for Dummies.
Yeah. Or get a walking
Or,
stick.
Oh.
Yeah. But my favorite joke to play, because flight attendants they're great. I know we're digressing, but we had the first class lab right behind the cockpit. That's the one we use. So the flight attendant, one of them has to go in the cockpit, one of them goes out. And another one takes a beverage cart, puts it across the aisle, and they face aft. So I'll go in the restroom, I'll take care of business, wash my hands, and I'll sit down in the toilet seat. And then they're standing like right there, and I crack the door open and go, "Hey, we need some toilet paper in here." In the first class cabin right there, they see me, and they're like,
I keep them way in the back.
and they look at me and some freeze. The young ones, like they're on probation, because they're taught when the captain asks for something, you get it. And they're like, so I jump out like I'm just joking. Only one time that she probably had a flight time for 40 years. She looked at me, she goes, "Oh no, you don't." She reached in and grabbed me by my nose and yanked me out. So yeah, that's me.
Now, do you do the goofy announcement things?
Yeah.
Do you still do? What's some of the?
Like I was flying into Houston. It was in August, and I said, "Hey, we're getting ready to go to Houston." The weather. Everybody has smartphones, and I'm not the guy who's going to say they'll give the pilot forecast. Clouds scattered at 500 feet, visibility 4 miles, temperature 23 Celsius. I go to Houston. I said, "Ladies and gentlemen, we land 20 minutes in Houston. We're parking at gate whatever, and the weather in Houston is August." Does that say everything you need to hear about the weather in Houston?
I heard a flight attendant once say, "We're going to go through the safety instructions with you. If you want to listen, great. If you don't, may God have mercy on your soul."
That's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah. And I I try to make it memorable in some way, that hey, they got there, they like what they're doing.
Mhm.
And I do like my job, I mean, I was in Bozeman, Montana 3 days ago, and in Raleigh, Durham before that with, family. I'm going to see my best friend from high school in Dallas. The guy, he works for Black & Decker Stanley, and he's an engineer, but he was a plant manager building that new multi-million-dollar plant in Dallas. And he's got promoted, like, he's in charge of like 4 countries worth of stuff. And I've known this guy since 11, like, really? He probably looks at me, he's like, really? We both look at each other like, really? How did that happen? Yeah, in spite of myself. So yeah, it's fun. But there are times when I do get upset at the job. That's the fun part. And what my triggers, basically triggers in life, and it's the same for probably any man. Come out to my family, which doesn't happen very often, But and that's something I try teaching to Jay. Like when he's, a brother's gonna, siblings gonna fight. I get it, but there's a line, and I said, Jay, she's your sister, but she's my daughter, and your sister and their other sister and their mom, my wife, are the 3 most important women in my life, along with my mom.
Right.
And no one talks to him like that. And the same way they do that with him. And then, when they're young, they get into fights. And I'm like, hey, I get it, you're going to fight. He cuffed one of them in the face. This is a few years ago. I mean, he wasn't full of punch, but it was there. I just went alpha male on him. And I just try, I spank him. I just put the fear into him. It's like, this is not the way you treat women in your life.
Right.
Never hit one in the face, ever, ever, ever. I get it, you're your sister. You can wrestle with her. Now you're stronger. You can hold her down, drive her more mad. But she's your sister, and you protect her. And like we do when he's younger, we go to the store. I have him pick out the flowers, bring flowers home for Jen. She don't live for me, but I'm trying to imprint upon him and stuff like that. So, come out to my family, come out to my crew. If I have a passenger who's being mouthy to a flight attendant or something like that, I mean,
Does that happen?
It does. Not as much anymore, because usually the flight attendants are really good about getting someone to comply. But it's not doing like the China flights. When they have an Asian flight attendant, speaks fluent Chinese, and a Chinese male, just that culture thing. So that's something I got really careful with. I just go back and we need you to be respectful. So come out to my family, come out to my crew, or just come out to the people I work with, I work for. We got to, I'm loyal to this person, that can set me off.
All right, so I'm going to ask you an embarrassing question and kind of a mean question.
Okay.
Are there any aspects of your life that are out of balance?
Out of balance. Oh yeah. I mean, the work, just think,
Because it takes a lot of time. I mean,
yeah.
you're away from home and.
Yeah. And, the kids understand that, but I haven't gone any college cross country meets this year.
Yeah.
And because of COVID, normally I go to all of them, but they're on different days. And, I wish I could, with church, I wish I'd be involved in church more. I wish, I wish I'd read the Bible more. And like anything, like, okay, you get on a kick and then you kind of fall off. Get on a kick, kind of fall off. And that's the way it happens. I'm not making excuses for it. Just that's a failing on my part.
But I could argue with you a little bit because you are away from home a lot. I get that. But in seeing your family, I don't see that they're suffering because of that. And then at the same time, you get to throw in, oh, we're going to Limerick, Ireland.
Yeah.
You get to throw that in too. And I know it's not a trade-off.
Right.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
I have an amazing wife.
Yeah, you do have an amazing wife.
And she grew up with amazing parents. Her dad passed away a year and a half ago. So promoted, I call it promoted, and did amazing parents, and she's just, I tell her and I tell the kids that she's the anchor of the family. She's the one, when the kids come home, they don't know if I'm gonna be home, but they know mom's gonna be home. And that's why she's, Jen was valedictorian of her high school.
Really?
Valedictorian of her college. She's never got anything but a 4.0. All right. The first time she ever skipped a class, this is funny, you can ask her about it, is when we were stationed in Germany, so no kids yet, and she and some other spouses in the squadron went to go take a German class, and like the second night, like
we're not going to class. And she said, this is a no threat class. They're just taking like something off her for free.
Right.
She's like, we can't skip class. This is the first time she ever skipped class. She felt guilty. She still feels guilty about it. It's great.
So I got that. I
Yeah,
can use
exactly.
against
Yeah.
her.
And but she's the anchor. She is a constant. You know, she is the
And you guys got to be a couple for many, many years before you had kids, right? 5 years?
Yeah, we're married, had a year of pilot training, then 3 years in Germany. And the way I found out about her being pregnant is we weren't trying, but we were not trying. I just got back from flying Uzbekistan, January of 2002. And I get back and check Hotmail and says, honey, call me as soon as you get this. It could have been written a day ago. I haven't talked to her in 3 or 4 days at least. I'm like, oh no, what's going on? I get on the phone and I was like, everything okay? And my other pilot I'm flying with, the load master, like, oh no, something bad's happening, something like this. And they hear me say, how far along are you? Because she's like, you ready to be a daddy? I'm like, oh. And they saw me exit. I'm like, oh wow. That's how far along are you? She told me. I'm like, oh, that's great. Yeah, I love you so much. Love you so much. And I hang up the phone. I turn around. I got the biggest smile on my face. My aircraft commander, my load master hands me a beer, the German beer. And then Mike, he said, order some flowers right now. That's one lesson learned from him. So whenever something big happens for me or like friends or acquaintances that like, they just got the big call, they got hired by the airline, they got a big promotion. I was like, order flowers right now. Because it's not all you.
Yeah, that's a great tip.
Yeah.
That's a great tip.
Because it's immediately, I see it's, it's immediate acknowledgement that this is because of you. You had a huge hand in us getting this.
Yeah, that's very wise.
Yeah. Not my idea. I wish I could take I totally stole it.
Yeah, no, it's I'm gonna say I made it up, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
So
Call Everslaw.
Yeah. No, that's genius. It really is because sometimes you have these things happen and you go, it's so easy to go, look what I've done for us.
Right.
Look what I've accomplished for us,
Yeah.
for this family. And instead of saying, congratulations, you were the one that helped me do this. That's genius.
Yeah. Yeah, she's my partner in crime and everything, And I go on the road, I still get excited and I go home. I call him, I can't wait to see you.
Yeah, I'm gonna embarrass Mark a little bit here because we go to the same church. I sit right behind him, and like I said, we've known each other for 10 years. You've been married how long?
March 97, so it'll be 21 years.
21 years. So they'll be sitting there, and it's
24 years.
And it's very unusual that one or both does not, rubbing the back, rubbing the thing, you've been married almost 30 years.
I'll give you 10 minutes to stop that.
So it's by looking at your family, you look at your career, you look at your marriage, you're doing a lot right. And I wanted to talk to you about it. I was hoping to pull out that code. I was hoping to say 4168312. That's the answer. But I think the wrapping this thing up, I think the thing is if you're a jerk janitor, you're going to be a jerk cook, you're going to be a jerk airline pilot.
Yeah.
And I think, looking at those things like it's the path to keep going. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, how to remove the jerk code. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's, I can tell you about a situation off the record.
All right.
Yeah, what I'm dealing with. And, but yeah, a jerk's gonna be a jerk. And, but sometimes the jerkiness can be suppressed or it can be accentuated depending on the position you are.
I get it.
And if someone, I mean, if someone's achieved their mountaintop per se, and they're like, look at me, what I've done, and but look at the path of destruction you left behind you,
right?
Versus all the people that helped you and have pushed you. Well, I look at the people that pushed you, and I'm looking for the person that I can help push, and stuff like that.
Yeah, and maybe the corny thing is there's a version of flowers in everything. So when something good happens at work, you find out what the people that helped you, you
Yeah.
acknowledge them. They some sort of flower. The thing with your family, this is usually your wife, but there's probably things in your neighborhood, in your work, in your thing that you could acknowledge the people that got you there. I never really thought about that.
Yeah, Jen says, and one of my buddies in the Air Force, I've known for a long time, he said, you see the good in people a lot more than most people do.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I guess I do.
Yeah.
I'm a lot more trusting.
Because there is good in 99%. I mean, it's very, I think in my life, I've met 3 people, honestly, that I can say I never saw anything good. Out of the thousands.
Yeah.
There's good in it's very rare to find somebody that there's not good in. So that's a good quality.
Yeah. A lot of good, a lot of fun. You're still the reigning chicken wing champion.
That's right. So I've got that on my resume.
That's right.
So I want to thank you, Mark.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
COVID handshake.
Thanks so much. And
Yeah.
we'll see if I can turn this off here, because then I can hear your story. This is recording. So.